When courts have to force the government to feed its people, something is deeply broken. In this case, that something is the administration of SNAP benefits, a lifeline for millions, especially as winter tightens its grip and holiday stress builds. The judicial order didn't emerge from politics or policy debates but from a basic truth. Food is not optional. With mounting fears over delays due to the government shutdown,
Backhand index pointing right. If this information helped you, don't stop here. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you're always one step ahead. We break down important updates like this clearly so you're never caught off guard. Join our community, stay informed, and take control of your financial future, starting today. Flexed Biceps Calendar.
The court intervened swiftly to compel agencies to act, not out of generosity but out of obligation. It's a stark reminder that, for many, missed benefits don't mean inconvenience. They mean empty tables and rising anxiety. This ruling wasn't just about sending money. It was about reaffirming the legal right to food. Elderly citizens, families with children, people with disabilities, and working-class households face increased strain in November, making timely aid critical. The court's move shines a light on the essential role of judicial oversight when bureaucratic systems falter. By stepping in, the courts aren't offering charity. They're enforcing the law, ensuring accountability, and reminding both citizens and agencies that access to food is a legal necessity, not a favor. This month, a court just did something critical and absolutely necessary. It stepped in and forced the federal government to do what it should have done without needing a lawsuit. Issue the SNAP benefits for November on time without excuses. That's right. Amid government chaos, shutdown threats, technical meltdowns, and bureaucratic fumbling, the courts had to be the adult in the room. Because millions of Americans, seniors, working-class families, disabled individuals, and children, were at risk of going hungry during the coldest and most expensive time of year. This ruling wasn't symbolic. It wasn't political theater. It was survival. Let's be clear. SNAP benefits aren't a bonus. They're not handouts. They're not charity. They are a legal right, rooted in legislation, designed to ensure that Americans don't go hungry. When the government fails to deliver them, it's not just a delay. It's a violation of law, of dignity, of basic human needs. That's why the court didn't suggest the government act. Mandated it. Issuance of November benefits must go forward, because the alternative is unthinkable. The timing could not be more critical. November is a brutal month for low-income families. Heating bills are climbing. Food costs surge around the holidays. Kids are home from school more often. Working families are stretched to the brink. And now, instead of debating how to help more, we've been stuck wondering whether the government would even do the bare minimum. Send the benefits that are already authorized by law. And let's talk about what triggered this intervention in the first place. Administrative chaos. The government shutdown didn't just freeze up operations. It put essential services in limbo. Staffing shortages. System slowdowns. No one at the wheel. SNAP recipients were left hanging, wondering if their groceries would just vanish for the month. And it took legal action to get answers. Courts do not wade into administrative affairs unless absolutely necessary. But this was necessary. When the basic functioning of the government collapses to the point where people don't know if they can feed their families next week, the courts must act. This is why judicial oversight exists, not just for high-profile cases, but to protect ordinary people from getting crushed by dysfunction. The ruling doesn't just force benefit delivery. It reinforces a fundamental truth. Food security is not optional. It is a cornerstone of public welfare. The government has a legal and moral obligation to ensure that people are not left to fend for themselves due to procedural breakdowns. The courts understood that. That's why they moved quickly, because hunger doesn't wait. And this wasn't some abstract legal debate. This ruling came after concerned parties presented real evidence showing that delays were imminent, that people's access to food was in real danger, that the most vulnerable among us, children, the elderly, people with disabilities, would be the first to suffer. The court saw through the excuses and did what needed to be done. Here's the part that should make every American pay attention. This case is a blueprint for how we must respond when systems break down. It shows that even in a tangled web of bureaucracy, the law still matters. Citizens still have tools. There are still avenues to demand accountability and win. Because without that oversight, these programs fall apart silently. People get hurt in the shadows. And nothing changes. This ruling is more than a one-time fix. It's a wake-up call to agencies that have grown too comfortable with slow processes and outdated systems. Courts don't just issue orders, they send messages. And this message was clear: fix it. Make it work. Don't let delays become the norm. The law requires you to act. And now, so does the judiciary. And it's not just about November. This case could set a precedent that stretches far beyond a single month of benefits. It signals that courts will intervene when vital programs break down. That they will force government agencies to do their jobs. And that should matter to anyone who depends on more than just SNAP, whether it's Medicaid, housing support, or other social safety nets that so many people rely on. This isn't just about dollars. It's about dignity. The ability to put food on your table shouldn't depend on whether some government server crashed or if a staffing shortage left your paperwork unprocessed. These are rights, not raffle prizes. And the courts just reminded the government of that in a very public, very powerful way. But here's what viewers need to do now. Stay vigilant. If you rely on SNAP benefits, monitor your account closely. If you see a delay, report it immediately. Contact your local SNAP office, check online portals, and don't assume someone else will fix it for you. The court has done its part. Now the agencies must follow through. But your voice matters. Your reports keep pressure on the system. We know the government doesn't always move fast unless someone is watching. So be that watchdog. Share this information. Talk to your community. Let others know that if something feels off, it might be. This ruling is only effective if it leads to real, on-the-ground action. That means benefits showing up on time in full. And let's not sugarcoat the deeper problem here. That we even needed a court to step in at all. This never should have gotten to that point. We're the richest country on earth, yet our systems for helping the poor crack under the slightest pressure. That's not a glitch, it's a design flaw. And it needs fixing. Because this will happen again. Another shutdown. Another budget delay. Another system crash. And if the agencies haven't learned from this ruling, we'll be back in court. And families will be back in crisis. The path forward is clear. Fix the system. Fund it properly. Staff it adequately. Modernize it. And above all, respect the people it serves. These are not second-class citizens. These are working families, retirees, people with disabilities, neighbors trying to get by. They deserve better than a last-minute court rescue. So let's take this ruling for what it is. Not just a win, but a warning. A warning that if the government doesn't step up, the courts will step in. A warning that the people are watching. And a reminder that legal rights are only real when they are enforced. If you are a SNAP recipient or know someone who is, tell them this. Your benefits are not a favor. They are a right. And now the courts have your back. Stay informed. Contact your local benefits department if anything seems off. Use your voice. Report delays. Because that's how change happens. From the ground up, backed by the power of the courts. If this video helped clarify what's happening, make sure to like it so others can see it too. Share this with anyone who needs to know their rights. Comment below if you've experienced delays, or if your benefits were finally issued. Let's hold these systems accountable together. And don't forget to subscribe for more updates, because this fight for fairness isn't over. And once again, if you rely on SNAP, check your status now. If there's a problem, contact the relevant department immediately. The court has done its job. Now it's time for the agencies, and all of us, to do ours. Let's talk about what this ruling really means. Not in legal jargon, not in press release spin, but in real terms for real people. It means that for once, the system didn't leave you behind. It didn't look the other way. It didn't tell you to wait, suffer in silence, or come back next month. It stood up, banged the gavel, and told the government, Do your job. Because let's not pretend the stakes were low. We're talking about more than 42 million people across this country who rely on SNAP to feed themselves and their families. That's not a small oversight. That's not some minor clerical delay. That's millions of families facing empty cupboards in a month when every dollar counts. This wasn't just about inconvenience. It was about survival. And the fact that courts had to intervene tells us everything we need to know about how fragile these systems really are. Do you know what happens when SNAP benefits don't go out on time? Food banks get overwhelmed. Emergency rooms see more people suffering from malnutrition-related issues. Children go to school hungry. Parents skip meals so their kids can eat. Elderly folks on fixed incomes are left choosing between medicine and groceries. These are the cascading effects that bureaucrats in Washington love to ignore. But the courts couldn't ignore them. They stepped in because the harm was imminent and the consequences were real. And while some in government want to pretend this is just a hiccup, just a delay, just another line item on a spreadsheet, people living on the edge don't have that luxury. A missed SNAP deposit isn't a minor nuisance. It's a disaster. Let's be blunt. This ruling exposes a rot at the core of our social support systems. We've built safety nets that are full of holes. We've allowed government programs, designed to protect the most vulnerable, to become so brittle that they break under the slightest pressure. And then we act surprised when people fall through the cracks. But thanks to this ruling, the message is loud and clear. Those cracks won't go unchallenged. Not this time. The judiciary saw the looming catastrophe and slammed the brakes on it. They said, "You will deliver these benefits. No delays. No excuses." They affirmed that when government agencies fail to meet their legal obligations, the courts will hold them accountable. And that should matter to every American whether you receive benefits or not. Because this is what democratic oversight looks like. This is what happens when the system, imperfect, flawed, messy, actually works to protect people instead of abandon them. For every family breathing a sigh of relief that their November benefits are coming, know this. The only reason you're not staring down another foodless week is because the courts had the courage to enforce the law when others wouldn't. But let's not mistake this for a total victory. Because enforcement doesn't mean resolution. Doesn't mean the system is fixed. Doesn't mean next month is secure. Means the bare minimum has been restored, for now. That's why staying engaged matters. Watching your account matters. Contacting your local benefits office matters. If something goes wrong, you need to act fast. This ruling gives you the legal ground to stand on. Don't let anyone tell you to just wait it out. And remember this. You are not alone. If you're struggling, if your benefits are delayed, if you're getting vague answers or bureaucratic runarounds, there are advocacy groups, legal aid organizations, and even local elected officials who can help. Use your voice. The law is on your side. But here's the bigger picture. This case should never have been necessary in the first place. Why does it take a court order to keep food on the table? Why are these systems so unstable that a shutdown, a staffing glitch, or a budget squabble threatens the ability of millions to eat? Where is the urgency from the people who design these programs? Where is the accountability from the leaders we elected to protect them? The sad truth is that too many people in power see programs like SNAP as expendable. They treat food assistance as optional, negotiable, something to be used as leverage in budget fights. That mindset isn't just irresponsible, it's dangerous. Because it turns basic human needs into political footballs. And that's where the court's ruling hits hardest. It exposes the fact that our government needs constant legal pressure just to function properly. It reveals how fragile the promises of food security really are. And it forces all of us to ask a very uncomfortable question. What would have happened if no one sued? Would November benefits have gone out late? Would families have been left to scramble during the holidays? Would we have simply chalked it up to another system error and moved on? This case reminds us that vigilance isn't optional. It's necessary. Because the people most at risk, the elderly, the disabled, low-income families, don't have the luxury of waiting for the system to correct itself. They need it to work. Every month. Without fail. So yes, this ruling is a victory. But it's also a warning. We cannot afford to trust that the government will always do what's right without pressure. The courts played their role. The people played theirs by speaking up. And going forward, that pressure must continue. We need sustained attention, sustained advocacy, sustained scrutiny. Because one court order doesn't erase decades of underfunding, political neglect, and institutional failure. It's a starting point, not the finish line. If you care about food justice, if you care about the integrity of safety net programs, if you care about basic human dignity, then this ruling should light a fire under you. Because it proves two things. The system is fragile and the law is powerful. But that power only matters if we use it. So again, check your SNAP account. Make sure your November benefits are there. If they're not, contact your local office immediately. Don't wait. Don't assume it'll sort itself out. Use your voice. Use your rights. And tell your community to do the same. Share this information with neighbors, friends, family. Let them know this ruling happened. Let them know help is supposed to arrive. Let them know that if it doesn't, they have every right to raise hell. Because here's the truth that government agencies don't always want you to know. The system works best when people speak out. When they challenge delays. When they demand transparency. When they expect better. That's what this ruling represents. The power of legal enforcement matched with public pressure. Don't let it stop here. If this video helped you understand what's happening, do something with that knowledge. Like it so others can find it. Share it with people who rely on these benefits. Comment below if your experience has been impacted. Your story matters. And subscribe for updates because this fight isn't over. And once again, if there's even the slightest sign of a delay in your SNAP benefits for November, contact your benefits department immediately. Don't stay quiet. Don't wait for things to work themselves out. The court has spoken. The law is clear. And now it's your turn to make sure it's enforced. This ruling is not a gift. It's not charity. It's not some benevolent gesture from a kind-hearted institution. It's a requirement, enforced through legal channels, fueled by public outrage, won through vigilance. Let's get something straight. This court ruling didn't happen in a vacuum. It didn't magically appear because someone upstairs decided to be generous. It happened because the government failed, again. It happened because pressure built up from the ground level. Because real people spoke out. Because lawyers and advocates forced the issue into the light. Because the system tried to stall and the courts said, enough. And that's the part they don't want you to focus on. They'll act like this was all handled smoothly. Like there was never any real risk. But that's not true. The system was days away from collapsing on millions of families. And if no one had filed suit, if no one had sounded the alarm, let's not kid ourselves. Those benefits would have been delayed or worse, skipped. It's only when the threat of legal force appears that the gears of government start to turn again. That's the playbook. Wait until the pressure is unbearable. Then scramble to fix it at the last minute. Then spin it as business as usual. But for the people relying on that money, for groceries, for their kids' lunches, for basic survival, it's never business as usual. It's life or death. So yes, the courts deserve credit. They took it seriously. They moved fast. They didn't wait for disaster to strike before acting. That matters. That's accountability in real time. But here's where we go next. This can't be the standard. We can't keep lurching from crisis to crisis, relying on emergency lawsuits to get the government to do what it's already legally required to do. We need a stable, resilient, modern benefit system that functions whether there's a shutdown or not, whether Congress is fighting or not, whether an office is understaffed or not. Because hunger doesn't care about politics. Children don't stop needing to eat because a website crashed. Families don't stop getting groceries because some bureaucrat decided to delay a transfer. And justice doesn't mean only when the courts force it. This country has the resources, has the infrastructure. What it's lacking is willpower. The willingness to treat poverty, hunger, and need not as background noise, but as urgent national issues. And until we get there, it's rulings like this one that keep the lights on. So if you're watching this and you've ever wondered, does it really matter if I speak up? This is your answer. It matters. Your voice matters. Your experience matters. Your demand for action matters. Because every bit of public pressure builds momentum. Every report, every call to the department, every story shared online, it all adds up. It creates the kind of pressure that forces action. That's what happened here. And to every official who's been quiet during this, to every department that tried to pass the buck or stay vague about timelines, the court just did your job for you. Because the people weren't asking for extra. They weren't demanding luxury. They were asking for what the law already guaranteed them. And when that law wasn't followed, the court stepped in and reminded everyone, this isn't optional. So to every SNAP recipient, this is your reminder. You're not asking for charity. You're not begging for scraps. You are exercising a legal right. That benefit belongs to you. And the government is required to deliver it, on time, in full, without delay. Don't let anyone talk down to you. Don't let anyone treat your situation as an afterthought. And don't let any bureaucrat tell you, just be patient when your fridge is empty. Be loud. Be persistent. Be informed. Check your account. Watch the balance. If it's not there, report it. Don't wait. Contact your state SNAP office. File a complaint. Escalate. Use the court's ruling as leverage. Because the law is now on your side, and that matters. And while you're doing that, keep talking. Let others know what's going on. If your benefits came through, say so. If they didn't, say so. These systems operate best when they're flooded with scrutiny. That's how real accountability happens. So here's what we do now. We stay vigilant. We don't assume this won't happen again, because it will if no one's watching. We keep the pressure on. We demand real reforms, real oversight, real investment in systems that actually work. Because the people who depend on these benefits deserve more than last-minute court orders. They deserve stability. They deserve dignity. They deserve better. And if you're one of the millions affected, don't back down. This is your moment to stand firm. Keep checking. Keep calling. Keep pushing. Because this month the court had your back. Next month might be you who forces the next change. If this video helped make sense of what just happened, hit that like button so others can see it too. Share it with your community, especially those who rely on SNAP. Leave a comment if you've experienced delays or got your benefits, because every story helps hold the system accountable. And subscribe so you don't miss the next update, because the fight for food security in America is far from over. And once again, one last reminder. If your benefits haven't shown up, contact your state SNAP department immediately. Don't wait. You have the right. You have the court's ruling behind you. Use it.